once upon a time. Okay, I'll try to be quick because I gotta pee. But the problem is, it was a 72-hour train ride, so it's kind of long. So once upon a time, I took a train ride through India. It was actually India's longest train ride from Jammu in the north to Kanyakumari in the far south, at the southern tip of the Indian subcontinent. 2,720 kilometers, I believe. Well, okay, like I'll just start off. I mean, all aboard, right? Okay, it was July 2009, if you need to know these sort of details. It's 11:45 on day 0. So you get in, and it's hot as heck. And day 1, I wake up in this train, and there are all these humans from Earth on the train with me. And I'm going to tell you about each of them, starting with a guy by the name of K.M. Thangarangu. These are all true facts, I'm telling you. So I want to, before I get into Swamiji, I call him, I want to tell you a little bit about the sort of environment that I am in. I'm reading a book that's called The Geography of India. If I have to tell you what this book is about, you're fucking stupid. It's about... Anyway, so I'm going to geek out for a second, and I'm going to tell you something I think is really interesting, which is that, and I don't care if you don't, because it really is interesting, the water parting of the Indus floodplain and the Ganges floodplain is a mere 274 meters above sea level, just a little bit north of Delhi. That basically means that the entire region from Karachi, where the Indus flows into the Arabian Sea on the west, all the way over to the deltaic plain of the Ganges in Bangladesh, is this set of very, 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 very slow-moving rivers, and it is flat as a cricket pitch, if you will. It's flat as a chapati. And you look out the window as you're coming through the Punjab is the breadbasket of India, and you sort of know why as you're coming through it. I wake up, and by the way, so I won't get into the travel writery details, but like I'm in the air-conditioned part, but then right next door is the open sleeper car, where if you just stand in the window or you stand in the open doorways, cha-chung, 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 the air is coming by, and I swear to God, it is like having a hairdryer just blowing right into your face. It is so damn hot. And you can see why the contours of the land is just flatness and slow-moving water cut into these irrigation channels running through wheat fields. I thought all of that was really interesting. Okay, anyway, back to the humans. Swamiji. So there's a guy. He is a police inspector from the city in the south called Coimbatore, and he is on a pilgrimage. Pretty much everybody in this train is on a fucking pilgrimage. It's amazing. And literally a pilgrimage, not just some sort of... Anyway, he's on a pilgrimage called the Amarnath Yatra, which is a visit that people do to the Amarnath cave up in the Himalayas in the north, where there is a holy ice lingam of the god Shiva, which waxes and wanes with the cycles of the moon. Everything I told you is all just true facts, okay? This is true. And he walked there. It's a very arduous trek. And I asked him about the details, and at this point, because I'm a stickler for facts, I want to tell you exactly how it went. I actually wrote down. Now, I pledged to myself that I would not do a fake Indian accent once during this entire... but I am going to tell you what he said. So, he's a former police inspector, but he's turned into a renunciate. He has renounced the world and he is a traveling mendicant. And I mean, we're talking straight out of Central Casting. Like, he's got this sort of turban and this beautiful peach-colored scarf over his bare chest, which is very hairy, and he's got this sort of Tolkien beard. He's Gandalf, essentially. So he declares to me that he is a renunciate who has adopted the mystical practice of Kriya Yoga, as you do. And I have no religion, I have no caste, I have no country. I am a universal man beyond all distinction. And he proceeds to explain to me the particulars of the trip. And one thing I notice about Swamiji is he still kind of speaks the language of the police blotter. Okay, so we reach Baltal at 1900 hours. The weather is inclement, chilled, and cold, and goes on to describe the final 18 kilometers of the trek, undertaken full of bodily pain, mental torture, and agony. What he's describing is a world away from what I am, because there is nary a hillock to be seen on the horizon. That is pretty much human number one of day one. So, day number two. And here's the curious thing about India. Well, there are a lot of curious things about India, but one of them is I'm going south, closer to the equator, and it's getting colder. Not the greatest meteorologist in the world apparently can really explain the climates within subclimates of India. So I wake up the next day, and it's a changed atmosphere, and a wonderful thing has happened, which is that a mega clan of more humans from Earth have joined the train at the city of Bhopal. They are the Goswamis, the Lodis, and the Lakeras. They are they're just a wonderful. This is just a wonderful scene because there's 24 of them, and basically what I suss out is that there are three guys that work together in the government service, and they were buddies. And every year they take their extended families, all three of them, on a combined family trip / pilgrimage, and they're going where I'm going, to Kanyakumari at the southern end of India in the south. And they're all, I mean, it's really, the older women are singing their songs, and the younger girls are painting each other's hands, and everybody's just kind of hanging out, having a good time. And I pull aside Shailendra Goswami at some point, and he's 23 years old. And, okay, so I'll just say it. The Lakera girls are pretty cute. And I'm like, Shailendra, I mean, so think something's going to happen with one of the other girls? And he looks at me, he just shakes his head, and just like, it's as though I have proposed that he marry his cat. Because I didn't realize this, but they're all separate castes, and they do not marry one another. He says to me, I can only marry a Goswami girl. And I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, and despite the fact you travel together every year, okay, my world is just a tiny bit larger around the edges. That's interesting. Yeah, who knew? We hit the border of Andhra Pradesh on the second day, and this gets interesting because it's a divide of language, first of all, culture, and cuisine. The southern India really begins at Andhra Pradesh. The Indo-European languages pretty much end at that border. So Indo-European is actually a relatively close relative of English, and you go into the southern states and you get into the Dravidian languages, and the food changes. And this is the really kind of cool thing about traveling on the Indian trains, is all the different types of little snacks that they bring to you, and they call out and they say things that you can't possibly understand. Idli dosai idli vedai. Dosai idli vedai. And what he's saying is, we have dosas, Yum. We have idli, which are like little doses the size of a hockey puck, and we have vadai, which are sort of donut-shaped graham flour donuts. It's all very good. Okay, I'm gonna geek out for a second again, and I'm gonna tell you more truth. Okay, so like, I will take holy spots for 200, Alex. What is, actually just call out, right? This place is the most visited pilgrimage spot in the world. What would you say? No, I was going to say Mecca, I would say, yeah, Jerusalem, maybe Varanasi, maybe the Vatican City. Actually, it's Tirupati. Tirupati is a spot on the Himsagar Express, the train that I'm on right now. And Tirupati Balaji is the resident god of Tirupati, and I'm not joking, this is a fact. Tirupati Balaji is the richest god in the world. If Forbes does a list of richest gods, Tirupati Balaji is the richest and most popular. The thing about Tirupati Balaji is you just gotta stand in line for days, and he's essentially the god that you go to for really, really worldly stuff. Like if you want to pass your exam, or if you want to get a job in the civil administration, or if you just want lots of stuff. So meet Rajesh Kumar Gupta, age 43, who makes about $820 a month from his various businesses. And I'm like, Rajesh, what do you want from Tirupati Balaji? And he says, and I quote, "I want to be a person of great means, so my name is known all over the world. I pray to Tirupati Balaji to give me more, more, more." The temperature drops. The air in the cabin, something about it changes. The atmosphere, maybe it's the air pressure, and just at about that moment, I'm not joking, I'm not making this up, a minstrel comes along, a traveling minstrel. This woman who is going around singing the most lovely and melancholy, what I assume to be a love song, making her way through the cabins with a little pail, collecting money, and it's quite beautiful. And at that exact moment, it starts to rain, and we run smack into the monsoon. Day 3, we just trundle on down. This is India. I'm looking at India, so you're looking at the back of India now. And we cut across the bottom end of the peninsula, and we burst through that's dramatic. We burst through the so-called Palakkad Gap, which is the only break in the Western Ghats, which separates the wetlands of Kerala from the hinterlands of Tamil Nadu, and then we snake down through the backwaters of Kerala. And I wrote about it at the time, and I said it was like a conspiracy of green. And I think back and I realize that phrase makes no sense whatsoever. But really what I meant to say was that it was like wherever you turned, it was like photosynthesis has just kind of like taken over and blocked all exits. It was the sort of wildness of the earth had taken over. And we end up in Kanyakumari, and basically get a cheap guest house for about $3 that night. It's 72 hours later. The next day, I get up and I walk to the point, which is Land's End of India at Kanyakumari. And it is beautiful, as you might imagine. It's a swirl of pilgrims' colors, and there are saris flowing, and the Goswamis and the Lakheri girls are there, and the Lodis as well, and there's Shailendra. And I stand at the point, and I look out to sea, and on the left is the Bay of Bengal, and on the right is the Arabian Sea, and they're crashing into one another, and it's a restless sea. It's like something from Bronte. It's like Wuthering Heights minus the moors. And I look out to sea, and there is this, in the fog, enveloped in fog, is this statue of the of the Tamil poet. What's his name again? Thiruvalluvar, making a dramatic stand in the fog on this island out. And I'm thinking, wow, I am here, and behind me, between my back and the mountains, there are 1 billion people. And at this point, what to make of all this? I would say I'm piecing together sort of what's my pilgrimage, and a few things. One has to do with sort of the transcendent and kind of almost axiomatic quality of just time. Time, when you're on a train like that, you just feel it going by in a way that you don't if, say, you get into an airplane and you're traveling through this like cigar-shaped tube sealed off from the world. It's almost like you feel it going by. And then finally, just distance. I mean, it's time and distance, the sort of basic factors of gravity, I guess. And, you know, we're kind of, sometimes I like to think that we're all post-human and living in this sort of world of pure beauty or pure math, but we're not. It's like we're trapped in these bodies, and there's bacteria and filth and diarrhea everywhere. And these bodies are trapped on this earth, which is really quite large. I did the math on this. I might have dropped a few zeros or added to, but I did the math quickly, and I realized that if you take this body that I'm trapped in and you lay it head to toe, it would take 1.8 million of them to traverse the entire length of the Himsagar Express. And this body did that. And so what's my pilgrimage? I'm sort of looking out to sea, and I have that song of the wandering minstrel still kind of lingering in my head. And I caught a little snippet of it, and I played it for a friend, and I find out that it's actually not some ancient folk song, it's a Bollywood tune. And beautiful nonetheless. And the lyrics are, you're just a visitor. What companionship can you possibly bring? And I realize, so this is my little epiphany, and it's the opposite of what you might think, because I'm looking at the ocean and I feel alone. I feel aloneness. And that is a very, very different thing, by the way, from loneliness. I feel aloneness in this grand, cosmic, and very positive, I think, sense of we're born alone, and we travel through, usually in good company. I was in very good company on that train, all 1 billion of them. Like I'm in very good company tonight. And then you die alone, and off the top of my head, I can't really think of a better way to touch the vitality of that aloneness than staring at the waves of the ocean or looking out the window of a moving train. So on that note, thank you for joining me in my solitude, as it were.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. That was our last storyteller of the night. There's a show at 10, so feel free to wrap up your bills and head downstairs to the KGB Bar for another drink if you'd like. So join us May 8th for Moving. And please feel free to talk to the storytellers and myself. Okay, what? Was there something else? What? Oh, yeah! Leave your film slips on the table. We want to give them to the spinners.